actually saw the first wave of the internet coming up. So I was studying computer science when we didn't have a browser, when when it was terminals, and then we saw what the internet could actually do. And when I was like 22 or so, I was already thinking, wow, this can do this and that, and this is going to be great, and actually, and you should do something there. But when you're 22, you really can't. And then this thing came up, and it looked to me, when I looked at it first in 2016, I think, it's like, wow, this is Internet 2.0 actually. So it's the next version of what's happening there. It's going to change the web completely. It is so general purpose that I thought, and I still think, that it will actually affect every piece of industry and living that we will have in the next 10 years. So it's not going to go fast, but the internet was the same thing. We needed 15 years until it got adoption. But then I thought, wow, this is actually the second chance in my life. I should do something there. This brought me into blockchain.
Hi and welcome to another episode of Information and Value. I am here to talk about the most exciting people from the internet and Web 3.0 space. We want to see how the internet evolved, what wrong turns we took, and how we might be able to fix it. I am talking to Ingo Rübe today. He is the co-founder of KILT, a decentralized identity platform. Ingo is actually super exciting because he has so much experience. He has been CTO of one of the biggest publishers in Germany, and also been on the board of the Drupal Foundation. Now Ingo has been founding a company again with the aim to make identity decentralized and available. And I'm talking to him about the development of the web and really what has gone wrong from the base idea of having a free internet to having very siloed proprietary databases and companies right now. Inge, you've been starting in that space 2016, 2017, preparing for the launch of KILT or getting started with KILT. I'm curious to hear from you what has changed compared to now.
I think we noticed that making easy money is not what we do. It's quite a lot of work, and it's nitty gritty, and it's really, really complicated. But if you stick to it, it's actually still a great technology. And of course, in the long run, you can earn money with it and build great companies with it, but it takes a lot of time. And I think the big difference between 2017 and now is that the hype is gone.
Do you think the approach of these companies that have always been there for the long run, for building something substantial, changed in the process, or did they just execute and needed the time to go to market to get something up and running?
Both. It looks like it really takes a lot of time. I think in 2017, many people thought, next year is going to be the where the industrial adoption comes, and then we noticed, wow, all those concepts, they are not so easy to implement, and we also have to rethink them. So there was a lot of learning, and this learning took a lot of time and a lot of effort.
You've been an entrepreneur before. You also had a pretty impressive career leading the tech efforts of two of the biggest German publishers. What made you go into blockchain?
That's a good question. I'm asking myself. No, I think I'm pretty old. I'm 52, and so I actually saw the first wave of the internet coming up. So I was studying computer science when we didn't have a browser, when when it was terminals, and then we saw what the internet could actually do. And when I was like 22 or so, I was already thinking, wow, this can do this and that, and this is going to be great. And actually, and you should do something there. But when you're 22, you really can't because you're still studying. You don't have all the experience. You don't have the connections, no network, no money, of course, so that was really complicated for me to really do things I was dreaming of. Then I made the normal career, maybe, or not 100% normal. So I first became an entrepreneur when I stopped my studies, or finished my studies, and then sold this company, and then went into industry. And then this thing came up, and it looked to me, when I looked at it first in 2016, I think, it's like, wow, this is Internet 2.0 actually. So it's the next version of what's happening there. It's going to change the web completely. It is so general purpose that I thought, and I still think that it will actually affect every piece of industry and living that we will have in the next 10 years. So it's not going to go fast, but the internet was the same thing. We needed 15 years until it got adoption. But then I thought, wow, this is actually the second chance in my life. I should do something there.
Let's talk about the open source part, because you've been in open source before blockchain is around, obviously, and the whole open source movement is a lot older than that. Being a board member of Drupal, you've seen an open source concept that was or still is quite successful, and now you're seeing new open source projects launching. What would you say drives the success of an open source approach, and are they actually different when you have an open source that is connected or is built with a decentralized stack in mind?
Well, first part of the question, I think the success lies in the community, and that always sounds so easy. So hey, make a nice community, and then everybody's going to work together happily, and they all have the same mindset, and they are working towards a common goal and stuff like that. What I learned in my years in the Drupal Association, that this can happen, but you need to have a lot of preconditions around that. So Drupal is pretty huge. There's I think something between 50 and 60,000 developers out there who work and contribute to Drupal. So how do you get this huge community? Well, of course, you have to have a community feeling. Of course, that's one thing, and everybody knows that. But what's even more important is you have to feed the people, and it's still a little bit like a company. So if people don't earn money on what they do, they will leave the community after a while and go somewhere else where they earn money. And this is something I had to learn, actually, because I was thinking everybody was just working there pro bono. That's not the case. And Drupal did this in a very, very smart way, actually. Drupal enabled business. So if you are, if you want to redo your website and you decide, hey, let's do that in Drupal, you not go to the Drupal Association or something. Where you go is the Drupal shop around the corner. And the Drupal shop around the corner is probably a small company with 3 or 4 people in there, and they're making a good job for you. But they are the guys who will contribute later to the Drupal system, and this is what the association tries to orchestrate. And this is far more, actually those 50,000 people working on Drupal, they are all paid, and they are not paid by the Drupal Association. They are all paid by the work they do. We are just delivering the groundwork so that they can start earning money on it. And I think this is really, really important for every community, and no difference if it is decentralized or centralized technology. It doesn't make a difference. Actually, you always need the people who, with their heart, want to build the system because they really love it, but still they need a form of income that feeds them at the end of the month, because people get hungry. And orchestrating such a community is extremely complicated. And this, I didn't think that it was so complicated because you can't really make everybody happy, but you have to steer the project in some direction, and you have to explain very much to all your community why it is going this way and not staying the way it was before, because there's more market in there and probably they don't even see it yet. But so you need some steering committee, right? And doing this is really, really hard work. When I started, they asked me if I wanted to work there. And I said, wow, this is an honor. Of course I want. And then I said, okay, but you have to notice, you're going to see how the sausage is made. And that was true.
We've seen now that the first projects that were started 3 years ago or even longer are materializing now, going live. We're talking about the Ocean Protocol, for example, or Filecoin, one of some of the most prominent projects, or Uniswap that actually saw a lot of people joining and actually using that. But it's still a little bit rare, right? Like they are just still building up. What would you say? Where do you see good examples of those communities actually forming? And where would you put your finger on the next trends around what use cases can also work?
Yeah, I would look into the project from the point, is there a possibility for a community or for a community member to earn money with it? That's I think that this is important. And when you look at Filecoin, for example, perfect example, Filecoin is absolutely great because it enables everyone who puts some storage into the system to earn money. So that was their first idea: let everybody earn money. Yeah. Right? That's absolutely perfect. They are building community, not so much in Europe right now, a lot in Asia, but this will swap over to Europe definitely. This is one of the greatest things which have happened. Another thing is obviously the Polkadot community, which is also very strong in Asia, but is right now really getting very international and also very huge because it enables other projects to actually easily build blockchains and connect them together. And Polkadot has the approach that they actually make the blockchain technology industry compatible and adaptable. And I think this is one of the greatest or most important moves we have seen in the last 3 or 4 years, because we have seen a lot of projects or a lot of industries or industry players going in the direction, let's have a blockchain project, and mostly on Ethereum, and then they noticed, wow, this doesn't really produce a predictable pricing, and it's pretty slow, and it's maybe also pretty expensive, and so maybe it's also prohibitively expensive. And now with Polkadot, we actually first time in history, I would say, see a blockchain which can be operated at a low cost and still have the truth in there, which is generated by a permissionless blockchain. So that's a great move. And there's also possibility in there for people to work around it. I think they have very thought out concepts how they leverage their right now pretty small community with fundings and with grants, and so that they really get hold of what I call the entrepreneurial developer, because the entrepreneurial developer is absolutely necessary to bring a technology out into the world. So you need a guy. So let's make an example. So internet, HTTP, great idea. HTTP would have probably maybe died if you wouldn't have all those nice entrepreneurial developers. You need people like the Facebook guys and the Google guys to actually make a business on top of the technology which is now there. And you need to somehow kickstart this. You have to bootstrap maybe it. And this is what the Web3 Foundation, which is the organization behind Polkadot, actually does in a very clever way, I would say.
We've seen a lot of financial use cases on Ethereum, and the boom this summer with DeFi products. And now you have just touched base on that Maybe this is a little bit due to the transaction cost and the way that the network is operating, that these use cases were focused. Uniswap was very impressive in overtaking actually even the biggest exchanges in terms of trading volume. And now we see a new type of network coming along that might allow for different use cases. What is your personal guess? What use cases do you think we'll see that just make sense right away?
Directly from the blockchain, I would say yes, of course, we are working in the identity space. I would say, yes, identity is probably something which is going to come up. Probably not first the identity of a person, but I think it's going to go first in the identity of machines and services, because this is what industry demands right now. So there's a huge industry demand. So I can speak a lot about that because I'm doing this every day. So this is one of the use cases where we definitely are going to see the blockchain leveraging a new era of technology. So Industry 4.0 is actually a bit unthinkable if you don't use blockchains. So you need this stuff. That's pretty cool. Another thing is definitely that is going the things that you guys do in the advertising space is probably very smart actually. So this is something which is not going to come up in the next 5 months or so, but this is going to also do something. We have seen a lot of things where blockchain is maybe not so important. So we've seen a lot of approaches in logistics, and I don't really think that this makes a lot of sense. My personal guess would be that this is not the great thing where it is going to go. But but I think we shouldn't go into things like dreaming, we will have the general passport of the world citizen and it's going to be on a blockchain. Maybe this happens in 20 years, I don't know. But very down-to-earth use cases like I produce a service in the internet and this service needs to have a credential to tell that it is compliant to GDPR. This is the things that we have to do. Also things like projects we are in, like identifying smart meters in a power grid. So this sounds a little bit boring, but those are actually the use cases where you need blockchains and where you can do good with the technology.
Let's talk a little bit about KILT. You said that you need to provide opportunities for people to interact with the protocol and also earn money with that. How are you planning to build this community? Can you give us tips, approaches, how you're trying to build up this momentum and the mechanics for it?
Yeah. So there's many ways actually, and we try to do them all at once. The most important thing is that KILT is a protocol, so it is just a piece of software which is open source, which everybody can use, and we don't take a license fee for it. We don't even know that you use it. So you just download the thing, and then you can start building applications on top of that. Building applications is normally something that either an entrepreneurial developer wants to do. So we're looking for the entrepreneurial developers, but there's also, as I said, a lot of opportunity around industry. So industry wants not to build a project or a product. What they want to have a solution for something, for a problem they have. So you need developers who actually build applications on top of KILT, which are then solving problems for industry on behalf of the industry. And this is what is normally called an integrator. It's the same thing as the little Drupal shop. So in the Drupal shop, you come in and say, make me a website. And in our case, it's someone say, I need a machine identity in this production process. And can you implement something? And then, of course, everybody can implement something in 2 years or so, or they use KILT, and then it's taking 2 days. So that's the idea. And then industry is going to pay those guys, right? And those guys then make profit on what they did. And then they go to hopefully all their other customers. and say, hey, you need machine identity too, don't you? I can build something for you. And this is how we actually make the sales and the spreading of the product. And we're building this integrator network. It is still very small, which is no wonder actually, because the product is really, really new, and we're not even on mainnet, we're still on testnet, but we already have 6, I think, and they are in different countries already. So things are happening, and that's absolutely cool, because we can obviously get the people who understand that there's an opportunity to earn money. So this is one way. Another way is I don't know if I should go really into detail there. I don't know. Maybe that's too long and another. But there's like 4 or 5 different opportunities how you can earn money in KILT, right? As with different roles, and so it's really trying to.
What is usually called mining, or the incentive is what you're talking about, right?
This is also one. Yes, I wasn't thinking about that, but that's also one. So if you stake, then you can earn new coins there with when behaving in the way that the network wants you to behave. That's also true. But I think even more important, because that's going to be a very small community, maybe 20 or so institutions doing the mining there. Much more important is when you are in the identity space, you always need trusted entities, and those trusted entities are, for example, certifying you that you are, as a service, GDPR compliant, or as a person, you have a driver's license or whatever. And those entities, they do a job, right? They give you the certificate. But they don't only give you the certificate, they test you, right? Or they make research on you if you really deserve the certificate. If they just give the certificate to you, it's worth nothing. But if they do research on it, then it's worth something what they give you. And this research has to be paid. And this research can also be paid through the KILT protocol. And it makes it attractive for people to become an attester, to aggregate some trust in a different community, in their community, in the drivers community, or in the GDPR community, and then be the entity later who has the trust of the majority of the people, and say, and if something is issued, if a credential is issued by those guys, then everybody accepts it, right? And then you can take a good price for making the test and issuing the credential. And this is a business model. This is a business model many companies actually have, building trust against selling credentials.
Who in the space do you admire for the work that she or he is doing, and you would like to interview, and why?
Gavin from Polkadot, he's one of the big brains, I would say. So he basically thought out a lot of what happened on Ethereum. He's also the brain behind Polkadot, so he's actually one of the persons probably in the world who brings the on blockchain forward the most. Another person, which I really would say is doing an absolutely great job, is Juan Bennett. He's the mastermind behind Filecoin and IPFS, and a lot of other cool things actually which are happening. And I would say those 2 guys are actually the brains behind the Web3, so the next generation of the web. So those are cool people, I would say.
Thank you for tuning into Information and Value. I really liked our conversation with Ingo, and I think there were some really insightful things that he shared with us. Some insights that I would like to know from you is how you liked this episode, what we might be able to do better, but also who you would like to see here. My name is Julian Leitloff, and I would like to see you again, because we've got some very interesting people coming up next week.